Continuing our countdown of the best transfer classes in all of college basketball. We are into the top 10, and checking in at number 10 is one of our favorite teams to discuss on this channel. It is the BYU Cougars. I love a lot of things about this transfer class. I am pumped to talk this through with Ryan Hammer, who's here with us today. I voted BYU fifth in the country. I was the
Hmm.
highest of our group on that, so I'm going to argue that this is actually a little too low. Ryan, you checked in BYU at number seven, so you're pretty high on this group as well.
Yeah, I thought I was actually higher than most on them, and then I saw you at five. And it was like a hat tip almost because everyone else has 12, 15, 9, 9. So a little hat tip to you. I respect that.
I'm glad it's you and I. We can both just be relentlessly positive about this group because I'm going to make some phone calls when we're done and get on some of our team members who don't see the vision for this awesome class. Rob Wright, Moo Davis, Dom Diomande, Tyler Mrus, and Nate Pickens. We'll go player by player through our expectations for each of these guys. Before we start, though, give me one word to describe this class.
My word is complimentary. And I will go, I don't want to explain it too much because it's one word, but complimentary because they have their stars, they have a lot of their great pieces, and they just filled in the gaps perfectly. Bingo,
Yep.
bingo, bingo.
I love it. I'm excited to hear more explanation, but I completely agree. I'll go the other way, and this could apply to all things BYU right now. It's fun. It is just straight up fun. Rob Wright, in
Yeah.
terms of excitement thrill level for college basketball players, not just transfers, is probably top five in the country for me. I understand this isn't an AJ DePonsa video,
Yeah.
but this class is made up of maybe the most exciting breakout sophomore point guard in the sport, a guy named Moo, who all he does is win, that plays 3 and D, Dom Diomande, who's like an afterthought and he's a freak athlete, and then just these perfect happy role players who just want to contribute to winning. Vibes are at an all-time high in Provo, and ultimately this five-man transfer class was like the perfect ribbon to put on a really, really fun roster in every way that they needed. Let's start going player by player. I think there's no doubt who the star of this class is this time. It is the point guard, Rob Wright. I'll ask you to give us a star rating for each transfer in this class, and then any expectations, any question marks you have for each guy.
Yeah, Rob's a five-star, not even a single doubt in my mind. I think he's going to be one of the best point guards in the country this year. He was so good for Baylor at the second half of the year last year, and like in a couple of games where he got just completely unleashed. Like it was completely undoubted how good he is, even from high school in the Montverde team. Like he's the only one of the starting five to still be in college now. He is awesome. I think how crafty he is, how electric he is playing. I mean, just imagine this too, even if it's not him, it's just a normal guard playing for Kevin Young and a BYU offense with AJ DeBansa on one wing and Richie Saunders on the other. Like, in what world is that not the best? That's the best situation ever. And then you consider it's Rob Wright, who's awesome. Like, I couldn't think of a better situation to be a dark horse to be an All American this year. So,
Yeah, 100%. I love you shouting out the All-American upside. It sounds
yeah.
crazy at first glance because of how much star power is on this team around him. But like if I could place a futures bet on Rob Wright being an All-American at some point in his career, I would automatically do it. And I do think there's probably going to be a day while he's still in a BYU uniform where they go into a season wanting him to be the star. And I'm
Yeah.
very excited for that. I think he's capable of that. But what a luxury it is to have this guy who's capable of that literally be used as a table setter and as a third option. There will be games this season that Rob Wright takes over and wins for them with clutch play or just unstoppable off the dribble penetration, getting wherever he wants. He has a chance, I think, to lead the country in assist rate, truly. I mean, he has the perfect pieces around him. He's got lob threats at center that he's built chemistry with. The question for me is how much do they want the ball in his hands? Because a
Yeah.
Rob Wright team that wants him to play make every possession, I think is probably going to be the best version of him. This year's team, you obviously need to get Richie the ball. And AJ, like it or not, is going to have to be the playmaker sometimes and not the scorer. So I don't know. Do you have any sort of feel for what BYU should do, balancing the ball in Rob's hands versus the other guys, or what would you do?
I think it should be a trio of usage, like very close to split. Maybe Richie usage wise is a little lower, and he's just more refined in a more refined role this year. I have faith in Kevin Young, Coach Burgess, everybody. Like I have faith they're so smart they're not going to force feed AJ the ball where like they just let him go, like kind of like Rutgers did last year. And they're definitely not going to do what Rutgers did last year. Oh, I should have started with that. Um, but I think that they're smart enough to know how to not just get AJ what he needs, but to win basketball games at the highest level. They want to win a national championship. Like they're not just going for like we want attention and to kind of rise our program. Like they want to win a national championship this year. So I think they know that Rob's going to have the ball. And I think him and AJ having the ball a lot of the time, Richie a good amount of the time, and then everyone else kind of assimilate in. So
One of the things I would say too that is a strength for Rob that I don't think it's talked about a lot. You mentioned he started at Montverde, one of the maybe the most loaded roster in high school basketball that we've ever seen. I
yeah,
mean, what, five of those guys are in the NBA right now, and Rob Wright's back in college.
yeah.
He is familiar with playing with talent. He did it in high school. At BYU, he's next to VJ Edgecombe in the backcourt trying to figure that out. They also had Jeremy Roach and these loaded former five stars that also like had high expectations for what they were going to be. I just trust him to figure it out, even if it's clunky at points. And to your point, Kevin Young and staff, look at what they did last year, where you had Yegor coming in. There's all of this excitement on how he's going to be used, and he's this NBA player. And then, kind of midway through the season, they shifted things and figured out what was better for the team. Got Richie Saunders more involved, and some other guard options that at times took the ball out of Yegor's hands. It didn't hurt Yegor in the long run, but I just think there's history here. There's a resume from both Rob Wright and Kevin Young and staff in only 1 year in college basketball each that they're going to figure this out.
Mhm.
And it's probably going to lead to some prolific numbers from Rob Wright. Next on the list to me is Moo Davis, Kennard Davis, one of the I think more win now role players in all of college basketball that hit the transfer portal this last year. Last we saw him, he just wrapped up his sophomore season at Southern Illinois. Huge rise in him from year 1 to year 2 at Southern Illinois, from 4 points a game to 16 points a game. High volume shooter from outside, shot 38% from three last year, good from the line. Truly the epitome of like a 3-and-D player that to me is capable of giving you more, as we saw at Southern Illinois. But I think at BYU, he won't be asked to do a lot more. For me, he's a 4-star ad. What do you have for him?
Yeah, I'd say 3.5 again. Four I could hear. I don't know. And we're gonna talk about at the end, like our questions and stuff. But like someone's gonna have to step up as another shooter off the bench, and he's probably the best option to do it. As a transfer, sure, he might be a 4-star actually, but knowing that he's not gonna be this like outstanding player asked of so much at BYU is why I kind of dialed it back a little bit.
Sure. It totally makes sense. Again, role is a question with all these guys with how much talent they have. But yeah, when he was in the portal, I believe there was some smoke that Purdue had reached out early. And for the Big Ten fans that watch us, Purdue fans that watch us, Lance Jones came from Southern Illinois. We saw
Mhm.
how important Lance Jones was to the team that made the national title run for Purdue. I think Moo Davis is just a better player than Lance, but he can give
Yeah.
you a lot of the things that Lance gave Purdue in his one season of like guarding the best perimeter player. I forget, it might have been, maybe I'm giving you credit for something. It might have been you who posted a thread on this that I saw this week, but maybe not. Moo Davis has some defensive clips where he had Bennett Sturts in hell last season. And I think he's one of the best perimeter defensive on ball guys in the country. I'm excited to see them deploy him like that at BYU.
I don't remember who it was. I can't take credit. It wasn't me. It wasn't
I
me.
just
But
like
he's
giving
a
you credit.
yeah, but he's a nice defender. But question: Can Moo Davis or hypothetically could he have hit the Lance Jones? What do they call it? The wiggle, whatever.
Oh yeah,
Could he do that at the same level that Lance Jones did? I don't
Mm,
think so. No.
probably not. Lance was
Yeah.
one of one in that regard, but
I'm sure BYU's got some weird thing they do over there. So
I'm
I don't
gonna
know.
say the BYU creative team never challenge them or they'll deliver. I can promise that. All right,
Yeah.
third on the list. In most cases, with a roster this loaded and high profile ads like Moo and Rob Wright here, I think everybody else would mostly be an afterthought, and I would forgive you if you thought on paper Dom Diomande was an afterthought. However, If you've paid attention to BYU's summer content that they've put out, behind the scenes looks, this guy has popped off the screen as much as the biggest stars on this roster. He is an elite athlete, an insane vertical, a kid that we have not yet seen in college basketball, a decommit from Washington to end up at BYU, or maybe I'm forgetting how the timeline worked here. Was he a Washington commit that ended up portaling?
I
I think
think
that's it,
I think
right?
that's I think that's how you legally it gets described as, yes.
It was like he got to Washington and was redshirting,
Yeah.
never played, and then in the middle of his redshirt season, it was like, oh, by the way, I'm going to BYU.
Yeah, he's more
So,
than a commit, but he's also not a player. So I don't know.
yeah, define it however you want. Kudos to Kevin Young and staff for pulling this one off. Many schematic things that they've done. What can you tell me on Dom Diomande? Do you have any expectations for him this year, or is this more of a long-term play?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's interesting. You said it before, actually. You said how like Moo Davis is the one of the win now portalers in the country, or whatever. And that's funny to think of college sports like that. Like, oh, this is a win now move when like everything is really a win now move. There's very seldomly, especially with the portal, like long term plays. But I see what you're saying there, and I think it could be a little of both. I like maybe it's just highlights, and I'm not really sure, but he looks good, and they don't have a ton of like depth at the big spot. Like Kebaketa, they have Xavier Staten, who's good but young and raw, and then from last year they have Mahalo Boscovich, who like I don't think he's gonna play a ton, but like there's a good chance that Diamande could play if he's physically ready to go, and I would assume Staten probably has the edge on him right now coming in as a freshman, but I'm not sure. So.
Yeah, so from what I've seen on Dom, I think if he factors in this year, my guess would be it's kind of at that like hybrid four spot. I think they'd
Hmm.
still want to play a true center next to him. I could be wrong on that. But when you do step back and look at the roster, one thing I think you could nitpick is that there's a lot of really perimeter oriented guys that they're going to try and play four of at once here. I mean, Richie
Hmm.
Saunders may play a lot of minutes at the four for this team. If you consider DeBonsa guarding fours. I don't know what they're going to do with him. He's obviously 6'9" and it works. But there isn't really like a true four sized four that you're going to play on this team. Diamande to me
Yeah.
might be more wingy. I don't really know positionally what he is. He's a supreme athlete. Like he jumps out
Yeah.
of the gym, AJ DeBonsa level jumping. I don't know if he can do anything else in a basketball court other than that, but it might be enough to just like run the floor, get a couple buckets in transition off of Rob Wright and guard fours, and he might factor into the rotation more than we think.
Yeah, he might not need to. And that is a good point about the positional thing. I like my gut says that AJ will play a lot of four in those, especially in those four-man lineups, because like I'm picturing them playing against Duke. He's guarding Cam Boozer the entire time. He's not going to let anyone else do that, even if Kevin Young wanted someone else to. Like,
True.
and looking at the roster, also he's going to have to do it either way. So I feel like AJ will play more four, and he's aggressive. He's athletic enough to be able to do that, but. I see the vision with that. I don't think he would need to do more or have to do more to play, even a little bit on BYU, but I don't know. We'll see how that goes.
It's a total luxury add to me too. I'd compare it to what Kentucky has with Braden Hawthorne, where you're basically bringing in this like four-star recruit. You don't really know what to expect from him. You don't need any minutes from him this year. BYU's going to be nasty even if Diamande doesn't play. But if he's good enough to warrant 10 minutes a game and they're poppy 10 minutes and he comes into next year as like a breakout candidate, what a luxury for
Yeah.
BYU to have. And I'm looking at the 24/7 timeline of this, by the way. So this is what happened. He enrolled early to Washington. He was
Okay.
there for second semester last year, taking a red shirt, planning a red shirt. And then on March 26th, he entered the portal 3 days later while BYU was still playing. He had committed to Kevin Young and BYU.
That's
Again,
crazy. Crazy work by the BYU staff.
just operating at a different level, my friend. They really are.
That's
All
crazy.
right, two more guys in this class, and we can be quick on these ones because I think they're both projecting as sort of luxury depth adds here. The first is Tyler Mrus, 6'7", another guy that could be like a little bit of a stretch four here. From the West Coast originally, I believe he was a Seattle kid, excuse me, growing up, but 2 years at Idaho in the Big Sky, scoring around 10 points a game both years. Shooter, 6 attempts a game from outside last year, 38% from three. It's always good to have shooting. Any expectations for Tyler?
Especially at BYU with the way they play. I went back and watched a little tape on him because I saw some numbers and I was like, it seems like he can shoot. That boy is a confirmed shooter. He's a confirmed sniper. He's also he's got decent size too. So like, I feel like if anyone was a sneaky dark horse to get like hard minutes, and I'm not saying he's going to play over Moo Davis, but like to take over if things don't go well at some point, I think it would be him. So I like him.
He's looked really good in the film. I'm going to give him a 3-star ad,
Yeah.
which honestly, when he committed, I probably would have said a 1 or a 2-star ad. And I get a little swept off my feet sometimes. But with BYU recruiting at the level they're recruiting, honestly, we get to the point where they start adding depth ads, and I'm like, why? Why not just get more stars? You're BYU. But every good team needs a couple guys like this. And I think you're right. If we are singling one guy to maybe overachieve based on personal expectations, Tyler fits the bill because he's just going to run corner to corner, catch and shoot. He's doing that in practice already. We've seen some of that from scrimmage highlights and
Mhm.
shooters with size, man. You can't teach it. The final guy in this class is Nate Pickens, another guy that theoretically I think gives you some off the bench shooting. 3 years at UC Riverside. His best year was his junior season last year. 40% from the floor, 39% from three on 3.5 attempts, 10 points a game, 2 assists a game, almost 1 steal a game. He's a 6'4" guard. To me, a mid-major sized guard, even though he has some height, only 175 pounds. Got to
Yeah.
put on some weight if he's going to play in the Big 12. But to me, behind Rob Wright, they really do just sort of have a bunch of those wings. Not a lot of like true point guardy types behind Rob. Not that you need one, but I do think Pickens will have an opportunity, at least in the non-con, to earn some minutes there. What are your expectations for Pickens?
Yeah, I agree with you. I have minimal expectations, but I just feel like Kevin Young and their staff in the portal, once they knew all right, we're identifying a few point guards, we want one of them, right? And then they saw Diamande opportunity, and then they said, let's just get guys who can shoot threes. And then if whatever comes down to it, we know we're going to be a top 10 offense in the country and try to be the best this year. So they will help us do that, if nothing else. Because it doesn't look like they went after anything else. That they didn't miss out on a lot of guys that they were like heavily in on, and especially stylistic wise. So I don't expect him to play a ton, like you said, maybe in the non-con, but that boy can shoot.
So I have a comp, which we don't even need to do comps in these videos, but there's a situational comp that this reminds me of with Pickens. It's Dominic Harris, who began his
Ah,
career at
yes,
Gonzaga and just didn't crack the rotation at Gonzaga, went down, same conference, so not down a level, but down to Loyola Marymount and was like awesome, and then tried to go back up to UCLA and just wasn't good enough before his
yeah,
season was cut short. So to me, I feel like that's what they're going to ask him to be, just be a depth guard, and if you get anything more, great. But my guess would be BYU and all the talent on this roster probably a little out of Nate Pickens' league. We shall see.
yeah.
All right, 5-man class is done. Let's do some superlatives to end the video. Starting with this, who is the best player at the end of the season?
Want to say it on the count of three together?
Yep,
One, two, three.
Rob
Robert
Wright.
Wright.
How
Yeah.
how high is a best case Rob Wright season this year?
Best case season means best case season for the team also. Best case season, he and AJ are both second team All American.
Where's Richie in this situation?
I think Richie's the third option on the team no matter what.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that's a hot take, and I think and he might not be. Maybe I'm just over expecting about Rob Wright a little bit, but I almost called him Bob. I don't think he doesn't look like a Bob to me. Bob Wright. But I think he could be an All American this year. I think he's that good.
Yeah, I think he is too. It's hard because this is the best trio in the country. Rob Wright, Richie Saunders, AJ DeBonce. To me, it's pretty undeniable. Those are the best combination of three players you can pull from any team, and whoever you put at three is going to be wildly overqualified. So it's Richie or Rob.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's putting AJ DeBonce at three. But I don't like, or excuse me, I don't hate that take whatsoever. The idea that Rob Wright could be an All-American as early as this year, I think, is well within the cards. And credit to you because not too many people are talking about it that way. We will see. Next up, biggest question mark. Any question you have for this class as a whole or an individual player?
I think physicality wise and defense in the class is going to be an issue because Staten can block Kada and like AJ's not a bad defender. Richie's not the greatest. So like I just have questions about the team defensively, but that was the same thing issue last year for them. So like I don't think that's like a crazy question at all. My other one was going to be on Rob. We kind of already talked about him enough. So I'll also say which of the shooters is going to basically command the actual big role off the bench.
I like that. Um, man, part of me wants to do a whole roster wide question for mine and just say like where do they cut the rotation at? But that's not
Yeah.
exactly transfer class specific, but it's like this team could go 12 deep if they want. They could go 8 deep and just give the stars a bunch of minutes. I'm going to try and make it player specific, so I'll spin that into what is Moo Davis's role on this team? In
Mm,
my ideal version of BYU, he is playing a ton of minutes, guarding the opposing team's perimeter star every single night, almost giving you like Sion James stuff that Duke got
okay.
last year. But at the same time, I do think there is a world where he's off the bench and Kevin Young goes with Dawson Baker in the starting lineup. I like that version a lot less than I like the version where Moo Davis just has a lot of trust early. And
Yeah.
to me, my guess is he was brought in to play a huge role. We won't know until the season gets here, but that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
All right, final question or superlative for us. One bold prediction for this transfer class. What do you got?
Bold prediction is that, ooh, interesting. Man, I keep going back to Rob Wright 'cause I don't have a lot of takes on the other guys. I guess my bold prediction would be that I like Tyler Mrus. I think Tyler Mrus commands a consistent role of like I don't know what he's expected to play. If he's probably expected to play what like 5, 10 minutes a game, but I would expect I'll say he plays 15 to 20 if he by the end of the season.
Ooh, I like that. That would mean really good things from Mrus
Yeah.
if he's playing that much on this team. Also, yeah, I feel like we just got an extra one from you, extra credit because your Rob Wright All-American take qualified for a bold prediction already. So good work. I it's got to be Diamande related in some form for me. I'll say this: I think by the end of the year, Dom Diomande is playing top 6 minutes on this team,
Ooh,
which
okay. So you're yeah, you go ahead. Go ahead.
no,
Go ahead.
I think I'm in. I think from what we have seen, the idea of a kid that hasn't played a minute of college basketball looking athletically in the same tier as DeBonsa is like mind blowing to me.
Yeah.
And I do think with how easy Rob Wright is going to make it on everyone else on this team, there's a role for a freak athlete that can just get out and run in transition. And positionally, I see a window there. Again, I kind of hinted at it. I'm not a huge Dawson Baker guy. I'm not a huge Boscovich guy. So
Yeah.
outside of the stars, to me, there's a role for someone to emerge sooner than expected. Diamande, I think, has massive upside, and God forbid if he hits it this year, this BYU team could be something really special.
Yeah, and he's going to be battling against mostly freshmen for that role that we're talking about. So,
Yep, he's got a chance. All right, we are all the way in on this team. Carter and I said this in another video, but a Provo trip is in the works right now for Sleepers Media, Ryan. So if you want to get on flights with us, we'll make it happen.
I've separately been doing the same thing. A Provo Logan joint trip. I've never been to the Spectrum Center either, so I kind of got to make that happen while I'm there. Might have to hit you on the side because I am dying to get there.
We'll,
Dying to.
we'll talk logistics. Carter and I are verbally committed, so we're looking for
Oh,
dates right now.
that
But
means nothing nowadays. So,
I know this is so. When Kevin Young's around, he can flip a commitment like nothing. All right, that's it. That is our 10th best transfer class. We got 24 more of these videos, counting down from 25 to the best transfer class in the country. Subscribe to Sleepers Media so you can see them all.